The rioting is back on in Portland. Though it seems like the numbers may be a bit smaller, they're definitely back. So hopefully the feds, Trump, Portland, whoever gets back to what they were doing and shut it down ASAP. However, last night it appears there were no arrests. There was also another major protest in New York City with nearly 100 people getting arrested. Now, Fox News says nearly 100. The exact number is 86. And this was actually over ICE and a story about forced hysterectomies. This is a crazy story. But it's not the story I'm leading with because the protests have happened. We'll go through them. The big news, in my opinion, is that Antifa got tricked by the Proud Boys into showing up in Philadelphia, acting a fool, and attacking regular people. I wonder what the Proud Boys' plan was with announcing these events, saying they're going to, maybe they're going to go to Portland. I don't know for sure at this point, but I can tell you this. The Proud Boys said they would be in Philadelphia. Antifa began to panic. They announced a counter demonstration. They showed up for the counter demonstration. No Proud Boys showed up. So they started attacking each other. They started attacking women, and they started attacking journalists. I got to say, as far as politics go, this was actually clever. You know, I've often talked about how, the Proud Boys want to go to Portland, and I think it's a huge mistake because Antifa is going to show up, fight people, and the media is going to make the Proud Boys look like the aggressors. Now, there's some arguments from the left where they'll say, well, then why are they coming to our town? And they have a First Amendment right to do so. So you don't have a First Amendment right or any right at all to attack people. But the media is on their side. The media likes to claim that Antifa are just anti-fascists who are trying to fight the evil bigots. So it doesn't matter. You could be a bad person, but you still have a right to walk around saying things. Antifa would attack them. The media would frame it as bad for Trump, and they would try and scare people blaming Trump. Right now, Trump's major advantage in the election, it's the rioting, and Trump needs to stop it. So we've seen the day before, when the riots started back up in Portland, the feds came in and it was heavy-handed. Like 11 arrests, dense smoke. They flanked around from behind Antifa and arrested them before they even realized what was going on. They need to make sure they do the same to send the message that under Donald Trump, the rioters will be shut down. And under Joe Biden, that won't be the case. But this is why it's so dangerous if a bunch of right-wing groups ready and itching for a fight show up to various cities and start doing it. And that's why I think this story is the most important. Now, the Proud Boys, man, they pulled a fast one on Antifa. By claiming they were coming out, Antifa showed up in mass numbers, and now Antifa looks crazy. But guess what? Is the media going to talk about Antifa attacking regular people? Of course they don't. Brandon Strzok of the Walk Away campaign got physically attacked like twice in the past couple of weeks by Black Lives Matter activists. Where was the media? In fact, he even pointed out, one day, when one of the times he was attacked, when they were chasing after him, screaming, shoving, and attacking him, saying crazy slurs against him and his friends, media was right there watching it happen. They don't care. They're not going to report it. They're not on your side. Look, I wonder how much of this is driven by people who all feel the same way, like this is bad, but don't want to stick their neck out because they're spineless losers. So you end up with people working for like a local news affiliate saying, I know the rioting and attacking people while screaming homophobic slurs is bad, but heavens, I'm not going to be the one to say it. Think about how crazy that is and how beneficial that is to actual racists and bigots, scaring regular people so that they don't speak up. And these videos are nuts. So what do we end up getting in Philadelphia? Well, the reason why I think it's significant for all those reasons, I mentioned, but also they attacked a woman and they attacked one of their own dudes. I mentioned this briefly yesterday in one of my shorter segments, but they literally chased down one of their own Antifa dudes, thinking he was like a Proud Boy or a Nazi, and started attacking him, smashing up his windows, and he had to leave. And you know what? I bet a lot of people were like, now you know what it feels like. Reminds me of that scene in, what was it? Thor Ragnarok. You know what I'm talking about? Where Loki is watching Hulk fight Thor, and then the Hulk slams Thor on the ground, and then Loki's like, now you know what it feels like. And they're like, huh? Yeah, anyway, pop culture reference. Remember pop culture before the world fell apart? Remember when there were movies? I remember those days. Now it's all politics. Here's a story from the post-millennial. But I also want to mention before we get into this, a big element of what I want to talk about tonight This morning, I'm tired, man. We worked all night. One of the things I want to talk about, there's a video from Andy No, and I believe it's from Portland. We'll look at it, where they force these guys in a truck to raise the fist and say Black Lives Matter. And the guys are confused, like, oh, okay. And they still smash up the truck because these people don't care. What they really want is for you to suffer. They want you to feel pain because they're lunatics. They're crazy, unhinged people. So they need an excuse. They'll say, raise your fist, say Black Lives Matter. And you're like, okay, no, it's not enough. And then they smash the windows out of the vehicle. Psychopaths, man. We'll get to that. Antifa show up for non-existent Proud Boys rally in Philadelphia. Attack media instead. And these media people, this is why they won't speak up, because they know they get physically attacked and they don't want to, so they hide. Please, Antifa, they say, please, we'll beg you. And they just get smacked around because they're pathetic, spineless, crybaby losers. From the Post-Millennial, they write, protesters gathered on Saturday when there was an expected Proud Boys rally in West Philadelphia's Clark Park. When the Proud Boys did not materialize, protesters attacked independent journalists James Klug and Lisa Reynolds Barbunas. Barbunas was attacked, her hair pulled. This video went viral because some Antifa dude snuck up behind a woman who wasn't doing anything and just pulled her hair. I was thinking about this the other day, like, where's this dude's dad? You know, it reminds me of the song 21st Century Digital Boy by Bad Religion, about my dad being a lazy middle class intellectual or whatever. It's one of the lyrics. And I'm just thinking, like, how many of these people grew up in the suburbs and their dad is like an out of shape, middle manager at a paper company, and he handles like accounting. And he's like, well, son, sometimes you have to pull a woman's hair to send them. What? No. But I'll tell you what he didn't do. He didn't say, son, don't hit a woman. I mean, look, if you want to have equality, I guess, sure. Maybe that's what Antifa's all about. But you don't see Antifa going and picking fights and pulling on the hair of dudes. You know why? Because they know they'll get stomped out. So they go after people that they think they can attack and get away with it. How this is just, it's just so ridiculous. Klug was chased from the park. So this is a dude who's just filming. So we'll scroll down here. They say plans for the counter protest began when a post appeared on Facebook stating that there would be a Proud Boys rally. This led to the farmers market shutting down, but the Proud Boys did not arrive to Clark Park. So this was the fly that went around. They said, Belly of the Beast 2020 Philadelphia Proud Boys. Join the Philadelphia Proud Boys and other patriots in the Belly of the Beast to demand an end to Antifa terrorism, calling all patriots. Here's what I find funny about this flyer. You'd think some people would have shown up for it, but the Proud Boys didn't. So there was not like a single errant Trump supporter who was like, I'm going to show up because I heard it was happening. They didn't show up. It was just Antifa attacking regular people. As the day and time arrived, no Proud Boys were reported to have shown up, but there were protesters and media present. The Post-Millennial was on the scene in Philadelphia's Clark Park and saw James Klug and Lisa Reynolds Barbunas targeted by Antifa activists. So this is the flyer that Antifa put out saying, Proud Boy fascists are coming. Defend West Philly. Klug and cameraman Barbunas. Okay. Klug covers protest and interviews. Guys, Post-Millennial, copy editor. What is this? Shocking footage depicts Antifa harassing Klug, even demanding obscene favors from him. What? Antifa pulled Barbunas' hair as she attempted to escape the mob. Klug attempts to escape in his car. This is not correct at all. This article is really, really bad. Okay, this article is really, really poorly written. The dude who was chased to his car was not Klug. This is one of the wow. I'm Post-Millennial. You got to fix this article. It's gutter trash. So anyway, let me show you what's going on with the actual riots over in Portland. Now, it is true what the Proud Boys did, not showing up, but that article was gutter. So for that, I apologize. But what happened in Portland is an important. I got to tell you, man. What happened in Portland is an important reminder that these people don't care about their cause. They don't care about what you do. They will come for you and they will smash things up. And if you think you can keep your head down or pretend to support them, it won't work. They eat their own. We know they eat their own. Andy No tweets, BLM Antifa in Portland took over the street outside the Central Police Precinct after smashing up businesses. They've blocked the road for hours. They make the passenger of this car give the Black Power salute and chant Black Lives Matter. The truck was smashed up later. Didn't matter. In this video, you can see them saying, say it, say it. And the guy's like, I said it. And they're like, I didn't hear you. Say it again. And he's like, okay. And he says it again. Doesn't matter. They're going to come for you and they're going to smash things up. And so, look, I got to be honest. You can always just jump over to Andy No's Twitter account and see exactly what went down last night. He says not a single arrest overnight, 19 to 20 of September in Portland, as a large mob of BLM Antifa marched through downtown, smashing up businesses. They then held a street dance party in front of Central Precinct to celebrate how there were no cops. No cops, no arrests. What's going on? When it came to the ICE facility, they got crushed. And maybe they realized, you know what? They're going to get away with whatever they want if they go after Portland PD, because Portland PD under Ted Wheeler has been completely incapable of getting anything done. And I don't blame them, specifically. I know they want to do their jobs, but the DA won't arrest any of them. That's why I think when the feds went in, a lot of these people just were gone. Well, I don't know who these people are. Maybe they're the same people. Maybe Trump really didn't, get it to stop. Maybe it really was the wildfires. Seems to me that a lot of it still was the feds. We know for a fact that the FBI is charging many of these Antifa people. But the protests continue over at Mitch McConnell's house. So we'll do a general protest riot update we got for you. Protesters rally outside Mitch McConnell's Louisville home in wake of Ruth Bader Ginsburg death. The reason I highlight this story is because these people went into a CVS and started smashing things up. Well, or they started damaging the window. At 2:45 p.m., a woman got arrested. Check this out. Louisville Metro police officers arrested one protester as she attempted to remove her car from the CVS parking lot. An officer on the scene said the department had planned to tow the woman's vehicle because she was not patronizing the business. And after the woman went inside the store to purchase a 6-pack of beer so that her car would not be towed, the officer arrested her on charges of disorderly conduct and an improper parking violation, according to a video from Courier-Journal reporter Hayes Gardner. He says, one woman has been arrested at the CVS 1 block from McConnell's house. She parked at the CVS, but was not a customer, and police told her they would tow her car. She tried to buy something and then move her car, but police didn't allow that. Following the arrest, several protesters entered the CVS where they chanted in the store. One kicked a glass door, damaging it. Officers entered the store and asked everyone who was not shopping to leave. Shortly after, members of the LMPD's special response team arrived to clear the scene. Along with the story of the truck getting smashed up, some lady was trying to use the parking lot at a CVS. I really don't care. Should they have removed her? Whatever. I don't know. Maybe not. But what gives these people the sense of entitlement? I honestly don't know. I mentioned that guy pulling Lisa Reynolds Barbunas' hair. Maybe no dad. Maybe a bad father. I think bad parents across the board, of course. But come on, man. What is a dad going to teach his kid? First of all, don't attack people. Don't attack people from behind. And don't attack women. I guess if he's all about that equality and he thinks, biological sex doesn't exist, then he probably doesn't see a difference and has no problem attacking women. There you go. I guess regular Americans, on the other hand, would probably be not too happy with the idea that they go around doing this. But then they're going to go to CVS and they keep harassing CVS for some reason. They did this in DC. Some dudes were shoplifting just the other day. His story broke. Some dudes were shoplifting. And when the store manager stopped them and the cops came, he didn't even press charges. He said, to put the stuff back, you guys can leave. You can't come back. Protesters showed up and blocked the store, caused all sorts of trouble in DC. We also had a protest that went down in New York City. And this one's interesting to me because almost 100 people get arrested. So this is a mass arrest for New York. This is kind of a big deal. And it's over the story about ICE giving forced hysterectomies. I've looked into it a little bit. I probably should look into it a lot more. But what I've seen so far is people saying, once again, it's one of these stories that's not necessarily widely confirmed or substantiated. And so I haven't been able to actually dig into it. But people are still coming out in the streets and protesting this. They want to abolish ICE. Fox News reports. Police arrested 86 people at tense Abolish ICE demonstrations in Times Square and near NYPD headquarters in Manhattan Saturday. Videos from the scene show police scuffling with protesters demonstrating against recent reports that Immigration and Customs Enforcement performed unneeded hysterectomies on immigrant women detained at an ICE facility in Georgia. One protester in Times Square, Isabella Leyva, wrote on Twitter that officers began making arrests as protesters stepped off the sidewalk and into the street. Video from the scene showed police arresting several demonstrators as they sat in the street. Now, I'll tell you right away, if it's true that ICE was performing unneeded hysterectomies, that's psychotic and that is horrifying. Abolishing ICE, no, but arrest those people. That's what nightmares are made of. I'm not entirely sure it's true. And again, that's mostly because I have to dig more into these stories. But I always try to be really, really careful with this stuff, man, because, unfortunately, the media has lost so much credibility. So unless I can see a video of it, there's not much I can go on. So you want to know why I'm talking about Antifa? You want to know why I'm talking about what happened in Philadelphia with this fake Proud Boys thing? Well, the post-millennial story was just trash and was completely wrong. And so I shouldn't have used that as a source. That's my mistake. I do know sources that were specifically on the ground that had, I've confirmed it essentially. I've talked to people who were involved and said, yes, it was a fake staged event. These people who got attacked went to their car. That was all wrong. The person who got attacked and went to their car was Antifa. But I can see these videos of this. I can see videos of protesters getting arrested. I can tell you exactly what they're doing and give you my thoughts on it. When it comes to what's going on with ICE in a faraway facility where there's no journalists, I can't. And the problem is there are no journalists. So what should I do? Well, I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm currently in a new building and we're going to be hiring real journalists and we're going to have them actually do fact checking and verification. And if these news outlets won't provide information to corroborate, we will not say they did. So if a news organization says an anonymous source claimed this, we'll say, what can you provide us to prove you actually have a source and the story is true? Otherwise, we're going to mark it unsubstantiated. And we'll say, though their source may be legitimate and they're under no obligation to share their sources, we understand this, we were not able to independently confirm their story is true. A layer on top of a layer. So look, these protesters came out, they got arrested, right? It is what it is. But we do need real journalists so we can understand what's really going on. The media got attacked in Philadelphia. Are they going to report that Antifa are violent and lunatics? Nope, probably not. They're going to ignore it. You know why? Because Antifa will show up to their house. Antifa will do to them what they did to Andy Ngo. But Andy Ngo is not a coward, so he doesn't stop. Now, granted, he's not on the ground, and that's because they'll actually stop him physically, like, they beat the crap out of him. But he keeps doing work to the best of his abilities, and now he's probably more effective in gaining even more followers. Now he's aggregating all this information. He's calling the police departments. That's real journalism. And boy, do they hate him for it. How dare he publicize that people got arrested? Look, people are innocent until proven guilty, but at least he's covering it. So good for him. But we need a lot more journalists who are actually going to do real work. Otherwise, what we get are media who are too scared. There's a meme that shows, the Doge meme of the super ripped dog and then the little sad whiny dog. And the ripped dog says something and the whiny dog says something pathetic. There's this meme where the ripped dog is journalists in the 1920s. And they're wearing the hat with the brimmed hat or whatever with the press thing in it. And they're like, the mafia may come and kill me, but this story must get told. And then the whiny little dog says, a person called me a mean word on Twitter. It's worse than that. Journalists today aren't just the ones complaining about mean words on Twitter. The actual journalists, reporters who work for these local news outlets are like, I'm not getting involved in a fight with Antifa. I'm not going to stick my neck out and complain about them. They'll show up to my house. So what do they say? The Proud Boys are the bad guys. What happens when the Proud Boys don't show up? You got a bunch of bad guys. You going to report about it? Apparently not. And then in New York, you get a mass arrest. In Portland, you get more civil unrest. And because we don't have a media willing to stand up to the leftist mob, both in the streets and in our cultural institutions, everything just keeps pushing further and further left to absurdity. To absolute absurdity. Like watching the Democrat debates when they're like, no borders, decriminalize border crossings, moratorium on deportations, healthcare for non-citizens. Like, dude, you're insane. Where's regular America to stand up to this stuff? I think they exist. I think one of the problems we have is that too many people are spineless. We'll see how things play out. But based on what has been going down in the past few days, I really do feel like if the Democrats don't cheat, Trump's going to landslide again. It's starting to feel like 2016 all over again. I mean, we've had glimpses of it, right? But I look at what's going on with the riots, the sentiment I see, the Trump flags. Nah, I'm sorry, man. It really does seem like we are headed for 2016 redux. Now, Look, the media is pulling out all the stops and they're smearing Trump and they're lying and the polls say Biden's winning. And at a certain point, I said to myself, you know what? These regular people, they already know the orange man is bad because you told them a million times. So what effect will it really have saying it 50 billion times now? I'm not entirely convinced it will, but because the election is coming up in like 44 days or whatever, this is the time when they really want to shock the psyche of the average American. So the best thing you can do is let people know about what's going on with these riots and call it out so they really know what's happening in our streets and what may happen if Joe Biden wins. But I'll tell you this, violence is inevitable. It is. November 3rd, there will not be results. Trump will probably landslide and they'll say he didn't win. And if Trump tries to say he does, we'll ban him. Whatever. It's a Sunday morning. I'm tired. So forgive me. You know, the post-millennial source. Really, guys, fix it. But I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. I'll probably be, we were up all night because we're trying to build this studio out. So I'll see you all at 1 on this channel. Again, thanks for hanging out.